Welcome everyone to the North Chapel on this lovely Sunday morning. I'm Richard Waddell and I'm coordinating the service today. There are several announcements. One is an important announcement that is in your order of service about the social justice meeting today, right after the service is over. It's very important. They're looking for, they're going to be discussing some interesting things, and they would like as many people there as possible. So if you can please join them following the service. Are there any other announcements?
This is just a brief announcement that a reminder that today, possibly tomorrow morning, is the last day that people can sign up for covenant groups. We've had a number of people sign up, and for those of you who are not familiar with it, a lot of work goes into planning pieces of poetry, readings, that kind of thing for us to sit and talk about. I've always found it to be really enriching. And so if you have an interest in being a part of that, we would love to hear from you. And I think there's, who are you pointing to?
There's a bunch of forms on the back table.
There's information forms in the back that you can get and turn in to Joanne or leave in the office. So that's all. Thank you very much.
I had a brief announcement of excitement that was dashed at the last minute. I was walking up and I saw this beautiful frost on the front walkway, and I was like, awesome! This is so cool. It's like I'm kind of impressed with myself because I'm not that cold and I'm not wearing a jacket, and it was a frost. And then the closer and closer I got, I realized it was plastic confetti from the wedding yesterday. So I'm hoping that it's a kind that biodegrades, but thank you all for those who valiantly picked up a broom and helped me sweep up what we could before the service. Thank you. Blessings.
The opening words. When I am frightened, will you assure me? When I am uncertain, will you hold my hand? Will you be strong for me? Sing to me quietly. Will you share some of your stories with me? If you will show me compassion, then I may learn to care as you do. Then I may learn to care. When I am angry, will you still embrace me? When I am thoughtless, will you understand? Will you believe in me, stand by me willingly? Will you believe in me, stand by me willingly? Will you share some of your questions with me? If you will show me acceptance, then I may learn to give as you do. Then I may learn to give. When I am troubled, will you listen to me? When I am lonely, will you be my friend? Will you be there for me, comfort me tenderly? Will you share some of your feelings with me? If you will show me commitment, then I may learn to love as you do. Then I may learn to love.
once again to see the sides of half of your faces in the morning. Just gonna try to adjust this so that it doesn't bend. There you go. Hi, online viewers. Good morning and good Sunday. I hope that this new day finds you well. Today is Sunday, October the 23rd, and the title of this morning's reflection is Have Faith, aka Don't Bite the Mailman. The title comes from a song from the Dave Matthews Band called What Would You Say? The opening lines are these: up and down the puppy's hair, fleas and ticks jump everywhere because of original sin. I'm not kidding. I would love to claim like that I adopted that and put that in just to get you, but that's what they said. You could look it up. Down the hill fell Jack and Jill, and you came tumbling after because of original sin. The song asks, what would you say if you were a monkey on a string? What would you say if you were a doggy on a chain? It's a good song. The second chorus pushes farther. If you were a monkey on the string, don't cut my lifeline. And if you were a doggy on a chain, don't bite the mailman. Good advice, I think, and mail carriers everywhere are greatly relieved. For years I've loved this song, but I also thought it was ridiculous until the last line started to make good sense to me. I could relate. I still think the song is ridiculous because it so casually mentions original sin, which has nothing to do with flies and ticks and puppies, by the way, and nothing to do with Jack and Jill, but it's catchy. I'm not drawn to the song theologically. I'm drawn because of the strangely compelling idea of biting the mailman. I've had many days like this. Have you? I'm not trying to be cute. I'm trying to be real about the power of this faith that asks us to confront and live life directly. Unitarian Universalism is a dangerous thing when it's at its best, and it requires a lot of us. When it's mediocre, and most faiths are every now and then, Unitarian Universalism tends to get a little weird and a little muddy. Sometimes we reduce deep meaning into catchphrases and colloquialisms. Sometimes we dull grace down until it fits onto a bumper sticker. Don't get me started. I can be a little bitter about this, and my friends and colleagues challenge me when I get into this mood. They say, if defining our faith was yours to do, how would you do it? What would you say? And I tell them that Unitarian Universalism asks us to experience life directly, to think critically and for ourselves, and to question everything. I would tell them that it turns common religious traditions and understandings on their head most times. Instead of a holy trinity, we imagine a sacred oneness, a unity. Thus the word Unitarian as opposed to Trinitarian. Instead of original sin, we imagine an original blessing. At our best, we find what Ralph Waldo Emerson called the original relationship with the universe, departing from the dry bones of the past. But at our worst, we are elitist and judgmental and fussy. I love us either way, even when healthy skepticism dissolves into mistrust, even when we bite the mailman. In other words, I love us even when we misplace our fear and our anxiety, even when we lose touch with grace and true compassion. I like my answer, but usually by the time I'm finished saying it, my friends are no longer listening to me. And I'm rarely listening to myself. We've been through this many times, and we already know that we agree. I am much like them, and they are much like me. We see ourselves in one another, and maybe that's our faith right there. We see ourselves in one another. I don't know for sure. I'd have to ask my teachers. Good teachers make you do the darndest things. They have methods that look like madness, but they always deliver on the wisdom. Years ago, I participated in a leadership school outside of Cherokee in western North Carolina. There's a retreat center there in the Smokies, a center that they call the Mountain. It's beautiful. I was sent there by my church at the time, the Eno River Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, or ERUF, in Durham, North Carolina. Eric and I, who was here last week, Eric and I attended there at the same time. I was sent to leadership school, and I went there with an attitude. I attended a 4-day retreat for adults who were assuming positions of leadership in UU churches. I was happy to attend, but like I said, I went with an attitude. I tried to hide it, I tried to conceal it, but I did not succeed. I failed miserably. I failed immediately, and I'm so very glad I did. It was awesome. I think I might have shared this story with you before, but just to recap, I showed up at leadership school right on time during the orientation period. Reverend Helen Bishop was checking everybody in order to register. We had to take the tiny Myers-Briggs test. Do you remember this story? I really didn't want to do this. I was suspicious of personality tests. I took it anyway. I took the test in good faith. I wanted to see where things were going. I didn't want to stand too much in the way, but maybe just a little. It's a personality flaw. Reverend Helen gave me the test, and I filled it out and gave it back to her. She tabulated the results while I was standing right there in line. She gave me 4 letters, a code that I didn't understand. It was ENFP. Okay, I didn't know what to do with that. The Myers-Briggs test, as you may know, evaluates along 4 polarities. Are we introverted or extroverted? Are we sensing or intuitive? Are we thinking or feeling? Are we judging or are we perceiving? At the time, I was extroverted, intuitive, feeling, and perceptive, ENFP. I was not introverted, although I am now, and I wasn't sensing or thinking or judging, according to that test. At that time, and still today, I was skeptical of personality tests. I didn't tell Reverend Helen that. I just went along with things. And then Helen instructed me to put my Myers-Briggs result on my name tag. She wanted me to write ENFP on my name tag for everyone to see. And I objected to that. So in protest, I took snarky action. I revolted. I did not write ENFP on my name tag as instructed. I wrote ESPN. I wrote ESPN on my name tag. ESPN is not a Myers-Briggs designation. It is a sports channel on cable television. I thought it would be funny. I thought it would make me seem shiny and impressive. As I was writing these letters down on my name tag, Helen noticed that something wasn't right, and she asked, "What are you doing over there?" Her face was very serious. I quickly realized that my attempt at childlike humor was going to fail. I said, "Helen, I was being obnoxious. I was trying to make a joke. Obviously, it didn't work. I apologize." And then I turned my name tag over, and this time I started filling it out properly. And once again, Helen said, What are you doing over there?" Her face was serious. I said, "My joke wasn't that funny, it was folly, and I was being childish, so I'm correcting my mistake. I'm filling out my name tag the right way this time." And she said, "Oh, no, you won't." And I was pretty surprised. She said, "You're going to wear your obnoxious little joke for the next 4 days." Yeah. That's my friend and colleague, Helen Bishop. And I did just that, and I did it proudly. Helen was my teacher that day, and a good spiritual teacher makes you do the darndest things, and their methods look like madness, but they're wonderful. They're designed to help us find ourselves, to help us know ourselves in deeper ways. Do you know what a koan is? A Zen koan. A koan is a paradoxical question that doesn't really have an answer. It's a Japanese riddle, a Zen joke without a punchline. What is the sound of one hand clapping? Or if a tree falls in the forest and there's no one there to hear it, does it make any noise? And I found an inappropriate one offline, so I'll just share it with you and get in trouble if I do. It was, if a man speaks and there's no woman around to hear him, is he still wrong? Which I do not agree with politically, but I think it's hilarious. So, I heard someone say the answer is yes. So I think that's probably true, so I'll just bow out there. A koan can be a short story as well. Seeing his master on the other side of a raging torrent, a young student waved his arms about and shouted, "Master, master, how do I get to the other side?" And the master said promptly, "You are on the other side." Koans defy common understanding. They defeat, they destroy common understanding in an effort to reveal an uncommon truth. Sometimes it's impossible to overcome the power of the foolish mind. We are a stubborn lot, but it is possible, however, to overcome the power of its habits. A koan can help us to escape. So, as Alan Watts would tell us, the method of teaching used by the great Eastern teachers is to make fools persist in their follies, fools like me, but very vigorously, very consistently, and very hard. Persist until your folly becomes visible. Then make a choice that best serves the soul. We can persist in folly, or we can take the deepening journey of faith. It all comes down to what we choose in life. My hope, of course, my prayer, is that we take the deepening journey of faith. Have faith and wear it proudly. Put it on like a leather jacket, like hiking boots, like a brand new suit or pretty dress. Wear it proudly. Reverend John Cummings from Minneapolis, a friend of mine, used to ask a lovely question. He'd say, "How do we clothe in truth and beauty the moments that make up our lives?" How do we clothe in truth and beauty the moments that make up our lives? I always believed that he was drawing on that passage from the Gospels of Luke and Matthew. "Consider the lilies of the field, the wildflowers, where they grow. They neither labor nor spin, yet I tell you, not even Suleiman in all of his splendor was dressed like one of these. And if God clothes the grass of the field, which is here today and tomorrow thrown into the fire, how much more will he clothe you, O faithless ones?" When Reverend Cummins asked, how do we clothe in truth and beauty the moments that make up our lives, I always thought that he had that passage in mind. Have faith, I heard him say. It can guide you when you're lost at sea. I get lost in folly all of the time. Many of us do. And I don't even know it until something happens and I discover what's going on inside of me. Rick Maston wrote a poem about just this moment of discovery. I've shared it with you before. It's called Encounter. He writes, "It was just that I was very touchy that day. And that's really all that I can say to explain why, while walking through Sears and Roebuck department store, I happened to get into a fist fight with a mannequin." This is what it means to bite the mailman. Sometimes we displace our feelings. We falsely project our fears, our anxieties on others. Mindlessly, we deliver them to others. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with biting the mailman if the mailman bites you first. But if the mailman's just doing the job, you might want to think twice about it. If you find yourself mixing it up with the mailman and the mannequin, you might want to take a moment or two to reassess. Have faith. Pay for it if you have to. Cash on the barrelhead. Wouldn't it be brilliant if faith were on the commercial market, if it came in different sizes like coffee at Starbucks? Demi, short, tall, grand, venti, trenta. These sizes of faith meaning 3 or 8 or 12, 16, 20, or 30 ounces respectively. I wonder what that would be like if we could measure faith in that way, if we could order it appropriately, not too much and not too little. Like spiritual Goldilocks, we could search for just the right amount. But we would be wrong to do so, and maybe a little bit offensive to others on the journey of faith. Faith orders us. It's not the other way around. Faith is humble. It doesn't order us in the sense that it orders us around like a leashless authoritarian. Faith orders us. It clarifies. It sorts us out. It helps us to make good sense of life, especially when life gets out of hand, and life does get out of hand sometimes. Faith organizes spiritual energy. It helps us to put things where they belong, so we don't get lost in the mix and do things that are less than helpful, like biting the mailman, like fighting with the mannequin. A lot of times I choose to bite and fight in quiet little ways. And this happened to me just last Friday on a sunny day on Route 89. It happened for a long while between exit 2 in Vermont and exit 11 in New Hampshire. My lack of faith took about 43 miles to reveal itself to me. Unexpectedly, a window opened up in my schedule and I was able to arrange a meeting just south of Boston. I met with Reverend Elizabeth Carrier-Ladd from First Parish, Dorchester. She and I are working together on North Chapel's Brave Light initiative, the youth exchange program that we raised money for last year but had to shut down because of COVID, so we're trying again this year. The chance to meet became possible mid-morning, and by the time I got on the road, it was just after 11 o'clock. I stopped at the old general store in Sharon for gas and coffee, and also bought 2 slices of pizza and put some free air in my tires. When it gets cold, my tires lose a little pressure sometimes. Things didn't go as planned. I didn't notice until I was back on the highway, but my dashboard warning light still indicated that my tire pressures were low. The free air hadn't made any difference at all. No biggie. I took a deep breath and decided to put the disappointment behind me, and I reached over for my first of 2 slices of pizza, and when I opened the box, there was only 1 slice inside. I don't know why you think that's funny. I got angry. I didn't have faith. I started looking for a mailman to bite. But I got a hold of myself, sort of. I took a different route. Instead of asking faith to help me to reorder my life, to help me to clarify or to sort things out, I just started bartering. I started trading on markets of mood and money. I pretended that I was being faithful, but I wasn't being faithful at all. Instead of having faith, I was making deals. I figured that if I could enjoy this 1 slice of pizza twice as much, that I would be somehow spiritually reconciled. And that didn't work. So what did I do? Did I turn to faith? No, I kept going. I persevered. I doubled down and I tried even harder. I can't say I was doing any of this consciously. I was not. These thoughts were in the back of my mind. They were biting but they weren't biting my leg just yet. They were only nibbling like a mild hunger. I wasn't conscious of them yet. The conscious thoughts that I were having were all about the pressure in my tires, and I made a plan to address this issue at exit 11 in New Hampshire at King Hill Road in New London. There are 2 gas stations there, and it was likely that at least one of them would have a working air compressor. So I pulled off the highway, and I went under the bridge there, and I tried the compressor at the first station, but it was broken. So I tried at the second station, and to my great delight, the air compressor was working. On the downside, unlike the air compressor at the old general store in Sharon, this air had to be purchased, $2.50 for 5 minutes. On the upside, however, someone had just used the air compressor and there was still some time left. So still making up for past losses, I hopped right to it. I filled all 4 tires and I finished just in time. I was happy. Almost redeemed. It was a kind of gift, this free air I got from the air compressor that you have to pay for. It was a gift and I felt happy and almost reconciled, but not quite. The pizza that I bought in Sharon cost me $2.95. I ate 1, I lost 1, I was down $2.95. The free air that I got in New London would have cost me $2.50. So I was still down 45 cents. I was consciously thinking this now. Thank you. I am equally unimpressed with myself. The thoughts were not nibbling at me anymore, they were biting me. Just then I remembered that the battery in my cell phone was running low. So I bought a power cord so that I could recharge my phone in the car on the way to Boston. Now, the power cord that was most compatible with my phone was the most expensive one. It cost $21.99. So I bought it, and I kept the receipt just in case the cord didn't work, and I was glad I did because the cord did not work and I had to return it. I had paid for the cord with a credit card, but I got cash money back, $22 even. I made a penny on the deal. So for some reason I was happy again, or at least I thought I was, until I realized I was masking a deeper emptiness that I was feeling inside. I didn't notice this emptiness until I was back on the road, back on the highway. My thoughts were persevering. They were going around and around in circles. I was totally obsessed with stupid math. I was utterly unable to let things go, and my inner conversation went like this. Okay, you lost $2.95 with the pizza in Sharon, but you picked up $2.50 in New London with free air. You made a penny on the power cord. So things are getting better. What did I do? Did I choose the spiritual path moving forward? No, of course I didn't. I kept going. I persevered. I doubled down. I started looking around for the mailman. When I doubled down, I said to myself, all you have to do now, Leon, is buy and return that power cord 44 more times. And you'll be all set, right as rain, even Steven, good to go. When we're doing math as superficial as this, very often we are deeply upset about something. Deeply upset about something that we cannot yet name, like the whole Herschel Walker deal and the surrounding commentary, like the political environment in general, like what's going on in Iran, like the state of our democracy since January 6th. I can't always name what I feel in the moment. I get upset sometimes and I don't know why. I don't persevere. I don't persevere, I perseverate. In other words, I don't persist. I don't drive forward. I go round and round in circles. When I'm lucky, I stop the spinning. I take a breath and I settle down. I settle deeply enough to accept my fear and my anxiety for what it is, no more, no less. I refrain from imposing it on others. In other words, I stop biting the mailman. I settle down deeply enough to laugh at myself when I am not pinching spiritual pennies. I settle deeply enough to treasure all that is our lives, even the times as petty and vain as these. I accept myself and everyone around me. I settle deeply enough to have faith, knowing that the miracle of grace is entailed in every moment that we live and breathe. Every moment, not just the shiny and impressive ones. Faith depends on everything. It all matters. It's all precious. And so are we. Maybe so. Blessed be. And amen.